Okay, I'm going to answer a couple questions real quick. My son had an IEP meeting on July 30th. It was not finalized because of certain circumstances, uncertain circumstances with COVID. You were trying to be flexible. You didn't push it. Participants didn't even sign it. They were present. You requested a copy to be reviewed and signed on August 6th, and it was still not sent to you. There were portions that needed to be reviewed and discussed, yet no one will call me back. The IEP has still not been signed. Um, am I forced just to request another IEP meeting? I mean, yes, you need to request another IEP meeting, not necessarily because you have to, but it's more for the purposes of evidence that you need to build that evidence that your IEP hasn't reached that point of consensus, meaning that everything's been agreed upon. Uh, if people didn't put their signatures down that they even were in this last meeting on July 30th, that's a huge problem. The other one is if it hasn't been finalized yet, school has started. That's another big problem because what are they using? Now I understand the uncertain times with COVID. Everybody's going through that right now, so that's not really going to be an excuse, being that it's affecting everybody, and other schools seem to be able to roll with it. So keep that in mind. Now, I will say though, I would need to look, and of course you don't have a copy, but I would need to look at this IEP to really definitively tell you whether the school believes that they have a completed and functional IEP, and whether you don't believe that it has reached that point. Because time and time again, I have cases to where we'll start it out, and the parents will say, "Look, James, it wasn't completed. We didn't finalize it." And then when I get it from the school district, it's not perfect, but it does appear to be in finalized format. So in that regard, that's a poor communication issue with the school, and also they won't give you a copy, and it is a problem if you haven't signed it. At the same time, I will tell you, if the parties haven't signed it, does that necessarily make it null and void or keep it from being implemented? No, that would be more of a procedural error. That's why I'm being a little bit more cautious in my answer, is that just because people didn't sign it, if it is functionally completed and being implemented, then at that point, yes, no signatures would create a procedural question, meaning that that's a mess up, shouldn't have done it. But at the same time, if the signatures aren't there, but yet the implementation is there with an unsigned IEP, and it's not causing substance damage to the child, and the child's able to progress, then at that point, the procedural aspects are not going to be the highlight. It's going to be whether or not that IEP that is being implemented, even if it's unsigned, is working. Okay, so that's, yes, you do need to put it in writing. You do need to request another IEP meeting. You need to make sure that you state in there and restate the history that you had, just like you did in your question, that you had a meeting on the 30th, that you thought you were going to finalize on the 6th. You've made other requests. Restating sort of a short timeline of events in your emails to, and I would make sure that you include the special education director on your email, your case manager, and your principal. I'll copy all those people on your email request so that they all have notice. And I would give it about 3 days before you follow up with another email. If school has started and what you're saying is absolutely confirmed, that then that's going to be a huge problem. If you do not have a completed IEP, if consensus hasn't been achieved, and they're just sort of haphazardly trying to implement something for your child, during these COVID times, then yeah, that's going to be a huge, huge concern. But chalk that up with the disaster of the spring, and at that point, I don't know where you live, but I mean, you might need to assert your rights, your due process rights. Trying to see if I can see where you live. Um, no, I can't. So, at that point, um, that's what you need to do, and it all becomes evidence. Okay, if they're not complying, just keep that in mind. Make sure you keep everything, all your emails, um, and all your requests, all prior documents. It's all very important.